Things are starting to get crazy. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packers, the podcast where you don't, I do Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. We got some changes within the top 10 Grossi, and today we are going to be ranking the top 10 teams heading into week 14 of the 2024-2025 NFL season. And listen, folks, we are coming down to the very, very end. This is the final week with any kind of bye week. On top of that, we only have 5 more weeks until we are at the postseason, which is honestly insane at this point. We got one more full month of regular season football, and then the postseason will begin, and oh boy, I cannot wait. And so, let's see what we got heading into the top 10 as we get down to the nitty-gritty, starting with number 10. You're lucky to still be on this list. You got the Seattle Seahawks. And Seattle, I know I'm preaching to the choir, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say of what the hell is going on, and you're going to respond, how do you think I feel? I'm a Seahawks fan, because the Seahawks, they were able to escape with a win against the New Jersey Jets, and whether it was because of the refs, whether it was because of Leonard Williams, who is an absolute monster, it didn't matter, because that game, as the announcer said, was very, very intoxicated, and the Jets, they had a nice lead over the Seattle Seahawks, and then things changed quickly.
How does it feel to still suck ass?
You tell me.
The Seahawks special teams looked absolutely abysmal. Chenault wound up getting released. And listen, the Seahawks are such a tough team to try and figure out. They're in the NFC West, which is the most middest of mid divisions right now. The Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals are competing for that NFC West title. The 49ers are just a broken shell of themselves. And with only a few games left, the Seahawks are sitting at 7-6, with the Cardinals and the Rams right behind them at 6-6. Now, the Seahawks do have that win over the Cardinals from last week, which looms very large. They'll have a rematch coming up very soon. And I think for the Seahawks, it's just going to be a matter of, can their offensive line protect Geno? Can their defense continue to play well? And if so, they could win the NFC West. I think they're a little bit all over the place right now. I don't know how many games they're going to win if they make the postseason, but I think right now Seattle is going to be favored to win that division. We'll see how they're going to finish out the rest of their schedule. It is not going to be a cakewalk, but Seattle, with their win over the Jets, remains in the top 10 at number 10. And let's see what madness befalls them next week. Number 9, you got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos remaining in the top 10 after an insane Monday Night Football game where their defense looked absolutely awful, or to be more specific, Levi Wallace looked absolutely awful, but then their defense saves the day with their second pick six of the night.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
And an absolute bonkers game where their offense really became unleashed. Bo Nix is launching it down the field. Yes, he had 2 interceptions, but overall he was able to move the ball. And the Broncos are a weird team right now. Taking a look at the AFC, I imagine there are going to be 3 teams from the AFC West that are going to make the postseason, the Broncos being one of them. And after a big win against a conference opponent, the Broncos are in a great position to potentially clinch that playoff spot within these next few weeks. They're another team that I don't know how many games they're going to win if they reach the postseason, but who knows? With that defense and Bo Nix playing well, they might be able to pull off some surprises. At the same time, Levi Wallace is definitely a liability, and so they are going to need to get healthy sooner rather than later. But overall, the Broncos get a gritty win on Monday night. They remain in the top 10 at number 9. And let's see, Broncos country, if you're going to be riding your way into the postseason. Number 8, you got the purple incarnation of Satan, the Minnesota Vikings. How? They can't keep getting away with it. Aaron Jones is fumbling, then he drops a touchdown pass, then he catches one, and the Vikings able to pull off a win. And the Cardinals, they had this game, but the Purple Satans were able to work their magic.
Somebody from Fox was supposed to call ahead. They usually take care of it, and then I just go ahead and do stuff.
I didn't get no phone call.
And listen, we could criticize the Cardinals a ton, especially for their conservative play calling and coaching on Sunday. But overall, you got to give some credit to the Vikings here because while it has not been pretty these past few weeks, they have been able to get these wins. And hey, they're sitting at 10 wins right now and second in the division. And while there are definite flaws in the Vikings game, and I'm very curious to see how they're going to play their division rivals in these upcoming games, I think they're still a good football team. And even though they're pulling off these last second wins, and the Cardinals, they've been fluctuating ever since the bye week, the Vikings are almost guaranteed to make the playoffs. And on top of that, they can wind up winning one of those games. I know there's some fraudulent talk going out there, and trust me, there is no one that would want to see the Vikings lose in historic fashion more than me. But as of right now, they deserve at least a little bit of respect. They're coming in at number 8 because their wins have not been very impressive lately. But the most important thing for them, they got the W. I can't wait for the Packers to play them again. And yes, Satan, one day you will return back to the fiery pits of hell. Number 7, suck it, Vikings. You got the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. The Packers, woo, they looking good. Being able to knock off the Miami Dolphins in prime time on Thanksgiving, and the Packers defense looked real good, forcing multiple turnovers. And speaking of turnovers, Jordan Love, these past 2 weeks, 0 turnovers, which is something that you love to see. Josh Jacobs playing his ass off these past few games, and right now the Packers have a ton of momentum. They did it without Romeo Doubs, Edgerrin Cooper, or Jair Alexander. Jair and Romeo practiced this past Sunday, and so things are looking promising for Thursday. And listen, I'm feeling really damn confident against the Lions this Thursday. And I'm not the only Packers fan that feels that way.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
The Packers are coming in at number 7 because I think they have a ton of momentum behind them right now. And considering how they played down the stretch last year, we're starting to see that form and with a better defense heading into December football. They have 3 more primetime games coming up and they're back-to-back-to-back. Of course, this Thursday, a huge game against the Detroit Lions, who are hurting right now on defense. And so if there was a time for the Packers to take advantage of that, it is this Thursday. So right now, I feel really confident in the Packers. I think that they will get the win on Thursday, but they're coming in at number 7, and if they beat Detroit, oh, they're going to be climbing up this list. And at number 6, you got the Baltimore Ravens, taking a little tumble down the power rankings, but nothing super significant. In a losing effort against the Philadelphia Eagles, they jumped out to a 9-0 lead, and unfortunately, Justin Tucker, oh boy, it was a rough day for him, and you just gotta hope that those angry Ravens fans don't find him.
Will they just find Millhouse, or will they find him and kill him?
When they find him, they'll crush them.
And while it is very sad to see Justin Tucker and Father Time maybe getting an advantage over him, but besides Justin Tucker, the Ravens offense really struggled after that first quarter to move the ball against the Eagles. Of course, you have that last drive, but I don't think that happens if it's a 1-score game. The Eagles defense played a little bit relaxed. And I want to be very clear, I think the Ravens are a good football team. Their offense can get things going with Derrick Henry, and of course Lamar can be great, but they can also be shut down. And looking at that defense, while their run defense did pretty solid, at least for a good chunk of that game, their secondary does leave a lot to be desired. And while they're still on a path to make the postseason, and I have no doubt that they will, the Ravens don't seem like a juggernaut team like they were last year. Of course, they went all the way to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Chiefs, and this season I think it's going to be tough for them to even get back to that point. The AFC is very top-heavy right now, and so I don't think it's all doom and gloom for the Ravens, but they got to figure things out not only on defense, but also Justin Tucker, he's really got to figure it out or he is going to lose them more football games. And so right now, I'm putting the Ravens at number 6 because I do still believe in that squad. They just ran up against a juggernaut that is the Eagles right now. And yeah, Ravens flock, we'll see if you're going to be able to soar once again. But right now, you're grounded. Number 5, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. And listen, Chiefs, I held you in the top 3 for as long as I could. But after this week, something's got to give. Because this week was yet another week wondering how the Chiefs were going to pull it off. And at this point, there's only one explanation.
The gods favor you. Red is the gods' color.
The Chiefs nearly losing to Aiden O'Connell, and if it wasn't for a weary snap, who knows? The Raiders were in good position to win that football game. And for Chiefs fans, this has kind of been the moral of the story this season. It's been tough, gritty, last-second wins, and they do deserve some credit for that. That's why they're still in the top 5. And with only one loss, they are still a very impressive team. They clinched a playoff berth, and of course, when it comes to the playoffs and they get a bit healthier, Hollywood Brown's going to be coming back soon. Isaiah Pacheco came back this past Sunday. We'll see what this Chiefs team looks like with a ton of experience in January. But as of right now, they do not look like the best team in the AFC. And I got to start taking a look at that offensive line, especially left tackle and how badly that was looking at their lack of pass rush. And it just seems like the Chiefs are not themselves right now. Yes, they're dealing with a ton of injuries. And as I mentioned, things will get better on that front. But heading into week 14, I got to put them down at number 5 because I think there's a couple teams that are better than them. But we all know their real season starts in January, which they just punched their ticket to. And so we just have to wait and see and maybe take advantage of the fact that the Chiefs don't look great now because we might be suffering later. Number 4, who would have thought? You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Woo! The Steelers scoring over 40 points. Russell Wilson balling out. The defense, well, they did the best they could against Joe Burrow, but this Steelers team is looking really damn good. And listen, many people thought that Russell Wilson's career was dead, but he might be all the way back.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
I'm too weak. Oh, don't kill me. I need him. No!
Unlimited.
Over 400 yards for Russell Wilson and 3 touchdowns on Sunday. And listen, we got to take this with a grain of salt because it is the Bengals defense, which is really, really bad. But I think this was a big game for the Steelers because 1, it's against a divisional opponent after losing to the Cleveland Browns on Thursday night. But 2, the fact that this offense can score that many points against a divisional opponent, and just regardless, I didn't know the Steelers offense could score 40 points. This bodes very well as they make their way to the postseason. Mike Tomlin leading them once again to a winning season, and it's been so impressive what he's been able to do with that squad. And if Russell Wilson can continue to play ball, even against some of the better defenses in this league, the Steelers have a chance to cause some upsets when it gets to the postseason. I'm really curious to see what that Christmas game is going to look like against the Chiefs and whose BS is going to win out. But as of right now, the Steelers, they're coming in at number 4. I think they're playing like the second best team in the AFC. We'll see how they finish down the stretch because they have a gauntlet still in front of them. But right now, number 4, and Steelers, you know where you're going. Number 3, you got the Detroit Lions. That's right. We got a new number 1 team, and the Lions going down a couple of spots, and there's a couple reasons as to why. 1, that game against the Bears, woof. After jumping off to a big lead in that first half, they just looked anemic in the second half. The defense didn't look good. The offense couldn't really move the ball. And while they were able to get a win due to the incompetence of Matt Eberflus and the complete lack of time management by Caleb Williams, the Lions are in a rough place right now because their defense is absolutely decimated. Their entire defense is basically on IR. They're bringing in Jamal Adams to play as linebacker, and things are not looking that great for Detroit as of right this second. They are still a very good football team, but with the amount of injuries that they're facing, they may be losing their grip on the division, and the Eagles are right behind them. And so again, I'm not saying the Lions are a bad football team because they're still coming in at number 3, but there are a lot of concerns right this second, especially with that defense. And if the Packers are able to get a W, that division is going to be blown wide open as the Vikings and Packers are going to be very hungry to take over the North. And so as of right now, the Lions are coming in at number 3. And as for Bears fans, they might actually be thankful to the Lions as their Black Friday gift was an Eberflus firing.
Forrest, I never thanked you for saving my life.
You're welcome. Number 2, you got the Buffalo Bills. The Bills not only punching their ticket to the postseason, but clinching their division. The first team to do so in the NFL this season for the 5th time in a row. And listen, I picked the Bills to finish 3rd this year within their division. I thought maybe the Dolphins could get 2nd, and I thought the Jets were going to be so much better. I was very, very wrong, as the Bills in their rebuilding year have looked phenomenal. Matt Milano coming back is a huge boost to that defense. On top of that, they ran all over the San Francisco 49ers. Josh Allen looked amazing, and I bet Bills Mafia feels like they're running the show in the AFC. And the only reason they're not number one is because of the quality of their opponent. The 49ers just got their ass kicked by the Packers, and they got their ass handed to them by the Buffalo Bills. And listen, 49ers, you are just decimated on all sides of the ball. CMC and Jordan Mason going to IR after this game. And while they were trying to put up a fight with the returning Brock Purdy, they just had no shot against the Bills, who looked like they were in their element playing in the snow. Josh Allen having an absolutely phenomenal game. He's been having a fantastic season, and I think those MVP talks are going to start getting a little bit louder. We'll see how the Bills are going to finish off their season. They have a big game coming up against the Lions, which I cannot wait for in a couple of weeks, and it'll really be a great test for both opponents, and hopefully the Lions are a little bit healthier so we can really get a good glimpse at both squads. But right now, I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC. They're playing like it. They clinched their division, and now the quest for the 1 seed begins. And number 1, a brand new team in the top spot. You got the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles knocking off the Baltimore Ravens. And don't look now, they're now on an 8-game winning streak.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
And where to even begin with the Eagles? There's a lot of reasons why they're at number 1 right now. Number 1 is the quality of their opponent this week compared to the Bills going against the 49ers or the Lions going up against the Bears. The Ravens are a pretty damn good team. Hell, they're coming in at number 6. And the Eagles, that defense, once it got settled down, the offense coming alive in that second half, this was a different ball game. Jalen Carter and that defensive line absolutely dominating. Cooper DeJean slamming into Derrick Henry, and he has just been on a tear this year with Mitchell. And the offense, of course, we cannot not mention Saquon Barkley, who is having a phenomenal year. And to be able to get this win on the road against a good team, a playoff caliber team, the Eagles have to be feeling pretty damn good. And considering some of the criticism against them was the quality of their opponents that they were beating, I think they shut up a few people here after this win. I think they are very deserving of this number 1 spot because their defense and their run game is just playing phenomenally well. And if they're able to carry that into the postseason, they are going to beat a lot of football teams. I think right now they are the best of the NFC. We'll see if there's going to be anybody to stop them in these upcoming weeks. But right now, the Eagles find themselves in the top spot in these power rankings. It is well-deserved. And the Eagles, they be flying. And so just to recap, at number 1, we got the Eagles. 2, we got the Bills. 3, Lions. 4, Steelers. 5, Chiefs. 6, Ravens. 7, Packers. 8, Vikings. 9, Broncos. And 10, Seahawks. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who should be on this list? Who should be off of it? Let me know. You know, guys, find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or Tom Grossi Comedy, all social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack, go.